Hi, my name is Mike Dare, and I'm a financial advisor. So I got into the business back in 2005 and really started because I knew I needed to get, quote, real job, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And so I interviewed with a couple of different opportunities, a couple of different options, and I kind of liked the idea of getting into the financial services world and helping people make decisions about what to do with their assets, how to protect their income with insurance. And throughout my interview process, I wound up in a conversation with a firm outside of Philadelphia that really focused on helping closely held business owners maximize and protect the value of owning that business for themselves, their family, and their key people. And I grew up in the family business environment. We had a commercial construction company, we had a restaurant. And so throughout the course of my sort of formative years, I witnessed and saw some of the issues that this firm was working to help address. And so it made a lot of sense to me. And that was that. I joined that firm in '05 and been to a couple different firms since then, moving down to Charleston and now with Consolidated Planning. We've got an office in Mount Pleasant, headquartered up in Charlotte, and it's good. It's a good business. I like it. How would I define wealth? It's a tough thing to define because the answer is different for everybody. If I'm looking at it from a very big picture, sort of 30,000 foot view, I might equate wealth when it comes to finances to peace, right? Like freedom from fear, freedom from economic insecurity. A lot of people in America and probably other parts of the world, that's what they struggle with, right? If you interview employees at companies across the country about what they feel stressed about, a lot of times the top answer is going to be finances, money. Sometimes the second answer might be relationships, and if you look in deeper in those relationship issues, it comes back to money, right? So wealth could just be freedom from fear of economic insecurity, taking that off of the table. Financial independence, whatever that means, is another kind of buzzword or collection of words. And that really means you have the ability to do what you want, right? So if you get to the point in life where you're doing what you want to do every day, and whether that's going to your job that you love or if it's going to the golf course or wherever, if you're doing everything every day that you want to be doing, I would say you've achieved wealth in a matter of speaking. So what do people who have found peace when it comes to their wealth have in common?
Yes.
Regardless of their income, right? Regardless of their economic status, I would say they're financially organized. They know where everything is, kind of what everything is worth. They understand what their actual income is and what they're able to spend as a portion of that income, right? Like they have a disciplined approach to the way that they manage their cash flow. And they have, quote, enough, right? A lot of people suffer from like the disease of more. It's not enough, it's not enough. And that does two things. One, it means like it's really hard to get on a clear path if that's the case. But it also means you'll never be at peace, right? Like you'll never find that level of comfort that I would like to have, knowing that I have enough, that it's okay, that what I have is enough. So what do people miss the mark on when it comes to their finances? And I would say it's worrying about things that are outside of their control. We're trying to control things that are outside of their control. Our industry spends a lot of time talking about rates of return. Well, rates of return are determined by very large markets, right? What's going on Wall Street, what's going on in the housing market, things that as an individual, we have no control over at all. So we have to kind of scale back a little bit and refocus on the things that we can control. And the first thing I can control is how much I save on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. What am I putting away? That's really all I can control. So I can control the percentage of my income that I set aside for tomorrow. I can make some decisions which will give me some parameters on what happens with that money as it moves forward through time. But I can't control the market. So I can't control the rate of return. I can only control my rate of savings. And I'd say the other thing people kind of fall down on is they don't protect enough. And so big things happen, black swan events happen. I get sued for a lot of money and I lose. I get sick or hurt and I can't work for a period of time. Or I walk out and I get hit by the bus, right? I've got 3 kids that depend on me. So I need to make sure that I've got protection pieces in place so that if the what if happens, the financial pain is mitigated to whatever extent I can mitigate it, right? Like, I'm gonna have to deal with all the other pain. I need to make sure that finances are gonna be okay. The cash flow is gonna stay the same. It's not gonna impact my balance sheet in a way that's going to totally disrupt my family's life. What's the first step when somebody's thinking about putting a financial plan together? They have to find a financial advisor, find a planner. And, we live in Charleston. There's 10,000 of us around, it seems. And some are good, some are bad. Everybody's got a different process. What I would say to most people is that you're probably better off working with a financial advisor, regardless of what his or her process is, than you are doing it on your own. Everybody's got a financial plan, right? Like the person who's never done anything, hasn't made any decisions yet, that walks into my door and sits down at my conference table, they have a financial plan. It's not very good, but it's a financial plan, right? Doing nothing is doing something. So you've got to start somewhere, and really you should be interviewing financial advisors to see who you have a fit with, to see who you connect with, and to see whose process most closely aligns with what it is you're trying to do. When do you start financial planning? Like, when is it a good time? And yesterday, right, was always better than today is. So you can't really start too young. Excuse me, you can't really start too young. If you have income, you have a plan, right? And you need to sort of hone that plan and figure out what you're going to do. It's much easier to start earlier than it is to start later. And for a lot of reasons, one of which is compound interest, right? If I save more today, I'll have to save less tomorrow to reach my financial goals and objectives. But starting out when you're in your first job or first career out of school makes sense. And you might not be able to sit across the table from a person who manages assets starting at $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, because you don't have that. But there's a financial advisor out there for everybody. My firm, for example, we've got a fair number of advisors who have minimum thresholds for what they're willing to work with on a client. And then we have new people who don't, right? So there's always somebody to talk to. There's always somebody whose target market just happens to be you. And again, the best thing to do is just go interview people. They'll tell you if they don't want to work with you. They'll tell you if they do. What happens if we're embarrassed about our finances when we're going out to seek advice? Don't be. Most people who are out there that you think are doing well, maybe they're not doing as well as you think, right? You don't compare your insides to their outsides. You could drive down any road in Charleston, you see a lot of heavy metal parked in the driveways, but I would imagine that if you looked at a number of those balance sheets, you'd be shocked, right? Because it's all flash. Don't be embarrassed, right? Because being embarrassed doesn't help you. It doesn't help you get from where you are to where you'd like to be, right? It's like going to the doctor. You just got to go in and you got to tell the doctor what's wrong and let the doctor try to help you. It's the same thing with a financial advisor or financial planner. Go in there and do the proverbial financial undressing, and let's take a look and see what's going on. It's probably not as bad as you think. If you're interested in working with an advisor, the Ideal Life coaching community has a number of wealth advisors as part of our team. And so I'd encourage you to go and visit the Ideal Life website and scroll down to the profiles of those wealth coaches and, call one or call two or three, call them all, see who's a good fit.